Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Boss Radio Live. I'm your host, NJ. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a really great show, one that I think is really important, a great topic, and an awesome guest today. Today, our guest is going to be Cathy Perez, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. That'll be coming right up. It's Boss Radio Live with NJ, your three-dimensional podcast. Baltimore, Maryland. I love my city. Wow. You have to have balance.
Mother's Day extravaganza event being held by LCC Lois Butler Colbert.
Come meet me today at the Spirit Center. I want to hear what you have to say. Yes, so again, welcome to Boss Radio Live. This is where he is the boss of me. My guest today is Cathy Perez. She is the declutter organization anxiety relief guru. And we will be talking about the relationship between clutter, anxiety, stress. So I think this is an amazing topic. And in case you all have never heard of Cathy Perez, here's a little about her. Cathy Perez is a certified wellness coach, yoga instructor, and Konmari Organizing Consultant. Cathy always had a passion for health and fitness, being organized, and sharing her curiosity for life to anyone who would listen. After many years in the corporate arena, Cathy got the nerve and calling to finally become a health coach focusing on productivity and the overall well-being of her clients. Cathy now helps women create a healthy relationship with anxiety and stress with habits that she took over 20 years to learn and hone to walk harmoniously with her own anxiety disorder. Cathy believes that you too can confidently conquer anxiety with healthy habits. So everyone, please welcome my guest, Miss Cathy Perez, to the show.
Hello, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. That was an amazing intro. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. There's nothing else to go on. I'm out of here.
Just representative of your skills and what you have going on, right? So let's get right into. I want to jump right into it because I called you the guru, and you are actually a certified and am I even saying that right? Konmari. Konmari. Thank you for fixing me. Konmari consultant, and you can explain to everyone what that is. I'll let you explain.
Absolutely. Thank you again, NJ, for having me. I'm so blessed and thankful. So hello, everyone. Yes, so I am the 159th worldwide certified Konmari Organizing Consultant. And so there's just probably I'm going to say now, closer to 1,000 of us in the world now as we keep growing, right? So if anyone's familiar, and NJ, I think you actually are very familiar. So Marie Kondo, she is the brainchild of the KonMari method of organizing. And so it's a play on her name, KonMari. So her name is Marie Kondo. So in Japanese, right, they use their surname first. So KonMari, so Kondo, KonMari. But anyway, so she's phenomenal. And she came up with this method. And she's actually versed in different modalities of organizing to include feng shui. And so she's actually really versed in that. But she, just over her own life, has always been into this whole idea of organizing. And so she took it to this whole new level finally. After she graduated, she was working in HR. Long story short, she started organizing for everybody in this particular way, and she honed it in such a way that it just resonated and it took off. And, you know, in the organizing industry, people really got a little, I guess you could say, resentful of her popularity that happened so quickly. But what was so interesting was that, and I say this to everyone, and that's why it kind of fits, because it's on a spiritual level. She took organizing, which could be pretty much just seen as a mundane task, and she elevated it to up here. So it's about connecting your spiritualness, your spirituality with your heart, right? What makes you happy, but also your environment. So it's I like to think of it as like a hybrid model of like feng shui and minimalism and you know, like anything in between. But it's very simple to understand, where other methods seem to be a little bit more complicated in my view, and I'm in the industry, but it's so simplistic, but yet it might not always be easy. So that's how it came about. And when she realized she can't organize the world on her own, she instituted an ambassador program, and so I am a result of that.
Wow. That's amazing. And I remember years ago when she like really blew up and she was everywhere. And you know, that whole thing about, which I'm sure you'll talk about, but the thing of relating to your clothes and asking about the joy, all that stuff. Like I thought that was, at first I was like, what? Which I'm sure a lot of people were, but after you know, listen to, I saw her on a few shows and I really listened to what she was saying. I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand, because we have attachments to our things. And you know, is there a reason why? Like, what is that all about, the attachment we had to our things?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't know if anyone, and I meant to say this earlier, and I get so excited when I talk about Marie Kondo, but if anyone's familiar with the Netflix show Tidying Up with Marie Kondo, so she actually was able to procure her own show. Well, she actually added 2 more shows now, so there's been 2 more since. But a lot of people then got on the train, right, on the Konmari train. And like I said before, it's a very simplistic way to think about what you have around you. Now, keep in mind, and I'll be very specific, you know, the Japanese culture is obviously its own culture. It's very different from ours in the fact that they believe everything has a soul. Every item, everything on this, like everything has a soul. And so there's already a respect that's infused in everything that they have and use. That's not actually how we think in the Western, you know, world, and that's okay. It's just different. So why it resonated, I believe, was because this connection happened. She took an ordinary pencil. She took any item that you had and she raised it to the level of like everything matters, in other words. So nothing is here just because it's just there. It has a purpose. And so the purpose is what's so important. And the reason why this has resonated with so many people around the world is because, again, she connected the idea that, okay, whatever I have around me, whatever I have on me, whatever is literally in my visual sight, or, you know, in this case, anything that I own, has a purpose. And whether or not I keep it, it's dependent on whether it brings me joy or it serves an actual purpose. Like a pair of scissors, it's not necessarily going to bring me joy unless they're maybe your favorite pair, right? But that pair of scissors serves a purpose. And so I not only get to use it, but I get to keep it in a place of honor, i.e. it gets a home. Everything that I own has a home now, and that means I'm respecting it, and that when I require it, it's there to help me, and vice versa. I put it back with respect. And so you're leveling up everything about your consciousness, and that sounds really like woo-woo, but it's not, because even in the Bible, it says that we're supposed to respect our belongings. And I think that finally people understood what I have around me does matter. And what it actually takes to make me happy isn't very much at all.
Wow. And so with that, I think that was a great explanation of what that's all about. But with that, you are also a wellness coach. So tell us about that. And then I really want to get into the connection.
Absolutely. So I've actually had various certifications. So I actually am now considered as well. I am a healthy eating and weight loss coach, and I've been certified as a yoga instructor. And again, I'm a certified Konmari consultant. So when you add those all together, I think of it as a wellness, like well-being as a whole, right? So when I learned first, I got certified as a Konmari consultant. I did so because it resonated with me, and I'm someone who has always dealt with anxiety on a high level. And I was even diagnosed with anxiety disorder. And so what I realized when I went through, I've always been an organizing freak, as you spoke about earlier in that wonderful bio. But what I realized after I finished my own tidying festival was that my anxiety hit a new low. My base might have been here, but as I went through this process of my tidying festival, it dropped and it stayed low. And that's because finally my body, my mind, everything was in harmony with my surroundings, both on a personal level, right? But on an environmental level, like literally everything was supporting me. And so there was no reason to be anxious, right? The anxiousness dissipated. And so when I've always been a health nut, I've always wanted to get into health and fitness, and working with my coach, my health coach, who then became my business coach, it was through their wonderful belief in me that they said, you've always been someone who should be in the health and fitness arena. I finally got the courage to do so. And then I realized not only can I help people organize, but I can use that as a way to help people then understand how to bring down their anxiety on multiple levels. So not just in their environment, but also internally, like literally internally, like how do you live your life on a, whether that's just different ways and habits that can create a better lifestyle overall to help someone achieve not only lower anxiety and stress, but overall health, like better health.
Wow. So you're not just helping us organize our stuff. You're helping us organize our lives. That's what it sounds like. And I think that is amazing. And I can definitely see the correlation to reduce stress, reduce anxiety. I was just listening to another wonderful speaker named Gloria Mayfield Banks, and she was talking about when we know where our stuff is, whether that's in your office or whether it's around the house, things you can put your hand on, do what you need to do, stick to the plan. When you know where your stuff is, it is so much easier to stick to the plan, your life plan. Right. And so I was like, wow, okay. And it made me think of it because this was just recently, like last week, I think. And it made me think of you in this interview. And I was like, that goes right along with what we're going to be talking about. And it is really important. And I think we underestimate it.
Big time. And, I'm not going to say that, organize it is more important than sleep. I mean, no, that's not what I'm saying. But there is a direct correlation. Scientifically, it is here's a wonderful stat. I love sharing this. So on average, in the U.S., each person in the U.S. literally spends 55 minutes every day looking for something. It can be keys. It could be a pencil. Like, I don't care what it is, but on average, we spend 55 minutes looking for something. That adds up to a 2-week vacation in a year. That 55 minutes is unproductive. It's causing anxiety, and it's elevating every health system in our body needlessly, because our body, our brain, does not know the difference between losing my keys and that there's a tiger running after me. It doesn't recognize
Wow.
that. So the same fight or flight system that invokes you to stay alive is invoked when I can't find my keys.
That is crazy. Like that. I mean, wow. Wow.
Yep.
That is something. Just
So
wow.
when we're able to get back those 55 minutes every day,
Yes.
that's an hour that I'm eating healthy, eating food, sitting down, being conscious of what I'm eating. It's 55 minutes that I can be playing with my kids and my grandkids. It's 55 minutes I could be asleep, resting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Makes a difference.
So how do we get a hold of this? Because this, I mean, I feel this when you were talking. I feel this all in my soul. I'm like, wow, that is me. I lose things often. And I'm always going, what, I was supposed to do something today, and like, oh my God, I forgot, and just disorganized sometimes. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So how do we get a hold on that?
Absolutely. And again, what I like to say, I don't believe anyone's lazy. And I also don't believe that if you've grown up in a disorganized life, right, or you were never taught how to organize, that you'll never get organized. I don't believe that for a minute, right? So everything is a habit. Like us living is a habit, right? So to become organized, it just takes a little bit of consistency and the right path, I would like to say, right? Following something that you're going to feel good about. One thing about our brains love to close open loops. In doing so, it likes to take systems and go from A to B, okay? So the more we can tell our brains to go A to B really quickly and efficiently, the more it's going to want that dopamine hit that it gets, because we're being consistent, because we are being organized. So in doing so, I think that's why this method of organizing works so well, because not only is it touching our hearts and making that connection between our soul and literally our minds and our bodies, but it's teaching it's doing exactly what our brain wants. And so being organized is simply our brain's best way to be efficient. So that pencil, right? If I have a pencil and I can't find it, the brain now has an open loop, and it does not like that. So that's why it raises your anxiety. When I'm organized and that pencil is where it's supposed to be, and I don't have 20 others that I can't find, right? I have my special pencil and it's where it's supposed to be. My brain goes from A to B in milliseconds. It doesn't have to think. It's now in your subconscious automatically. It says, I'm going to that pencil. And so your brain has now saved up glucose. It wants the glucose so that it can work better. And it's amazing because on a scientific level, on a spiritual level, on every level whatsoever, the idea of having organization is how our brain actually wants to live. So that's why. And so the path is find a system, and whether it's the Konmari system, whether it's, learning from someone else, I don't care. But understand the importance of being organized, because definitely when you're organized, your brain is not working as hard.
Wow. I think this is wonderful. And so, what is the best way to go about doing this, incorporating this in our lives? I know we can call you Cathy, not literally. We may be in different states than you, but we can call someone like you. So do you suggest that? Is that better, or how should we go about it?
Well, what I could do, if you're okay with it, I don't mind going through like how to utilize the KonMari method. Like I can give you like a really quick, right. And that's why I figured, I was like, well, no, I'm here to share it with the world. I want people to know this, because it is only one of me, right? And there's only one of Marie Kondo. And yes, she has books and everything else. Now, again, obviously anyone can reach me and I can help them with it, right? On a virtual level. But just understand, it's a very simple system. Again, not always easy to implement, but that's just because of our inconsistencies, right? So there's 4 components to the KonMari system of organizing, or method of organizing, sorry. And when I ventured into this, understand that it's my interpretation of her method. By law, I get to say that because it's trademark. It's the KonMari method is a trademark now. So 4 components. You want to organize by category. That's very different from any other system out there. Organize by category. Then you're going to perform the joy check, that famous joy check. And you can even think of it as a spiritual check, right? I mean, I don't have a problem saying joy, because joy is basically gratitude, right? So it's a gratitude practice, and that's what prayer is, right? So gratitude practice, joy check. Then we give everything a home. Everything gets a home. And then finally, it's that now habitual intention of living what we call the KonMari way. So to get back to the first one, so by category. So this is really cool because our brain, if we're lucky enough to have sight, we're very visual, just in general, right? We live and literally live by our eyes. So if we're blessed to see, literally, visually, we can make decisions just by what we see. And that's what our brain wants. Instantly wants to make a decision. So there's 5 categories. The 5 categories are clothing, which most people are familiar with. Then there's books, and then there is paper, and then there is kimono, which basically translates to everything else that's not these other 4, and then sentimental items. So that's the first component. Your life has now been simplified to 5 categories. That's it. Then you move into the famous joy check. The joy check, again, is a gratitude practice. And so it's just in a different way, right? We think of gratitude maybe as prayer or, whatever the case is. We don't always associate it with our belonging bringing us joy. And so we take every single item, and I do mean every single item, and we hold it at least in our hands, and preferably if you could put it to your heart, go for it. And then you actually ask yourself, does it bring me joy? Does it make me happy? Does it serve a purpose? And this gratitude practice is what connects this to everything around you. And that's why it's so weird, because again, this is not normal thinking for the Western world. In Japan, this is totally normal. Like, this is how they think of everything. So when we go through that gratitude practice or the joy check, we then know what we want to keep in our possession. And if we decide to discard everything, we do so with gratitude. And we literally say thank you to this item that we're now going to let go, whether that is to donate, whether that's to sell. No matter what type of going away it's going, we give it respect and say thank you. And once you've gone through all those categories get joy checked, right? And then everything gets a home. And it's interesting because more times than not, after you've sorted everything with a joy check, you have less, just ultimately. And even if you don't have less, everything now gets a home. And so it's interesting because now you have, again, taken your life into 5 categories, and now your head knows exactly what it wants. And so everything will get a home, and you might find you actually have more room than you previously thought you did, because now your brain, your body knows what it really needs to live, like to be happy. And usually it's not that much. Then that 4th and final stage is when you finish your Tidying Festival, because everyone will finish and you only have to do it once. But on average, a Tidying Festival in the US on average can take about 6 months. No kidding. Then finally, that 4th part is I finished the Tidying Festival, I'm feeling groovy. And then what's interesting is that now it affects everything in your life. That KonMari then starts to ripple effect into everything that you do. You will go to the stores now, well, maybe online, right? With intention. And you, again, visually, or even mentally will think, oh, wait a minute, I actually don't want to buy this online because I have two in the storage right now. Like your brain becomes so efficient. It becomes focused. It becomes more productive. Why? Because now there is no fuzziness. There's no disconnect. Everything that's around you, literally, has energy and it's only going up. So everything about you resonates up. That's the beauty of it, because this lifestyle is what now will propel you, because your brain will start thinking in the Konmari way. It will want to see everything in order. It will want to know that everything is where it's supposed to be, because then it doesn't have to think so hard. So that's a really quick but really efficient way to think about the Konmari method of organizing.
Thank you for that. That was amazing. Look, I'm like, I want to take notes, but I'm like, no, I can just listen to I can just listen to this later and write all of that down. That's amazing and an awesome explanation of what you're doing. And I could really see when you were explaining it, the whole way that it kind of correlates to less stress and being able to be more productive and being able to focus on what we need to focus on and not worry about what we can't find, what I have too many of, like all of that. So I think that's amazing. And I never ever thought about clutter. My husband would testify. That's I never thought about clutter this way. He's an organization freak, my husband. And so, but I don't think he's familiar with this, but he just is that way naturally. But yeah, he's going to be like so happy. So awesome. I love it. So, this time has really wound down pretty quickly. So before we get out of here, one, we want to show your definitely your information to how they can connect with you. But I really want you to leave our listening audience with three things. I'll say three things to just start them off, or pieces of advice. We heard the whole explanation, which was awesome. But yeah, just three last things you might say to them, especially if somebody is struggling to get on this path of not only the organization, but wellness.
Absolutely. And so with regards to all parts of that, so whether that is organizing, because you may not resonate with this method, right? But whether it comes to organizing, whether it comes to health, first and foremost, I actually do believe that gratitude can solve many ills. So no matter what you decide to do in life, use gratitude as your guide. Gratitude is as powerful as love. And that's the truth. On a scientific level, gratitude literally moves the universe. And that's like a universal truth. So if you can institute some type of gratitude practice, you will be that much more ahead. That's number one for sure. Number two, and this goes right into why I want you to use gratitude, is because guilt weighs so heavy. It's so heavy. So whatever you decide to use, whatever modality you use, whether to organize, to get healthy, it doesn't matter, but do so with no guilt. And what I mean by that is that what's interesting, and I say gratitude first on purpose, when we are feeling the emotion of gratitude, guilt can't live there. We can't have them at the same time. The brain doesn't work that way. So when you are, say, organizing, and even if you're not using the Konmari method, when you're organizing and you see a sentimental item, but you don't use it anymore, it's not serving you. Most people won't give it up, but that's because there's guilt. So let go of your guilt, be grateful for it, and then do whatever you're going to do with it. And that goes for your health too. Like, get rid of guilt. Just get rid of it as much as possible. And then three, this is, again, for those of us who deal with some high anxiety and stress, it's always easier, and this is not easy for anyone, and including myself, but move through the fear. And what I mean by that is that those of us with high anxiety, we use the concept of rumination to keep us from not doing anything, meaning we'll just keep thinking and thinking, but we won't move. And that goes for our health. We're not going to make a decision. But guess what? When we decide to go up against the fear, we get to walk through fear every single day. And somehow we think that, deciding to organize or deciding to take a leap of faith and go see a nutritionist or go to your PCP, primary care physician, after 5 years, somehow that doesn't seem like a probability. But when you walk through fear, you realize that there was nothing to fear. It was a decision. So walk through your fear, because once you walk through it, you're past it, and now there is no more fear because you've already walked through it. But doing so with gratitude will make it easier, for sure.
Wow. And I'm going to say, I'm so happy that you mentioned those last two things. Now, gratitude is very important. I actually had a friend of mine years ago who gifted me a gratitude jar. And I was like, well, what the world do you do with this? So she had to explain. I'd never heard of that. So she had to explain. She was like, every day, she had little stickers and little pieces of paper. She gave me, like, every day, write something you're grateful for and put it in a jar. And she's like, when you get to the end of the week or the end of the month, like however long it takes to fill that jar up, then you can look at all the amazing things that you are grateful for, all the great things in your life. And it is hard to be as depressed about things, or just be in a bad place when you get to see the amazing blessings you have, the way they just built up in that jar. So I love using the gratitude jar. I still use the gratitude jar. Yes.
That is awesome. I love hearing that. That's awesome.
Yes. And so I really thank her for that, because that, even though I was grateful for these things, but just to see it and write it down, that really does something to us, to our mind. But the guilt and the fear, I thought that was really, really important, because that it stops us from doing so much. It was reminding me of the term, I think they call it analysis paralysis.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, so you're so worried and fearful to make a decision that you just end up doing nothing.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that this has been amazing, and I am so glad that you have shared all of this. You guys, I hope you have been listening. I hope you've been taking notes, for that matter. Taking notes and listening to what we have been talking about, because this is some really good advice. It's just been amazing. So I thank you so much, Cathy, honestly, for being on the show. I knew this was going to be a good show, but thank you for that. And so for those who would like to reach out to Cathy, here is her website. So you can definitely reach out to her. And if you need some help, and I think I actually saw, which because I have a lot of business owners that watch my show as well. And I actually saw on your website where you do like an organization session with business owners for their office space.
Yeah, that is an offering. If people are welcome to it, it's an online little course. So it's kind of like the abbreviated version of what someone would want to go in their own whole residence, but something really easy that can get people started in the right direction, right?
Yes, that's awesome. So you guys can definitely check that out. And also, you actually have a private Facebook group that's available as well. So is this more for the whole thing, or is it more for the anxiety and stress piece?
Definitely, it is exclusive to us females, whoever identifies as female. It's for women, and it's for women with whether that's high anxiety themselves, or possibly they support someone who actually is, dealing with anxiety. But heck, who doesn't have high anxiety right now, right? Or stress? But specifically, yes, I work with women, again, who want that healthy relationship with health and anxiety and stress.
Yes. Okay. So you guys check that out if you need help with that. Definitely, I would, because this has been amazing. So you all got a little bit of the kind of advice that Cathy can provide. So there you go. Again, Cathy, thank you so much for being my guest today. It has really been amazing. I appreciate you being here so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you for what you do for your community. It means a whole bunch.
Oh, definitely. I love it. And I'm glad when I'm able to bring guests like you on. So thank you again. Well, that is another great show, you guys. Wow. I have really enjoyed my guest today, Miss Cathy Perez. Definitely check her out if you are struggling with anxiety, stress, and disorganization. Thank you guys for joining me again on another great episode. And until next time, stay boss.